Hello and welcome to an election message by Dave the Suit. Little Rishi has called a general election for the 4th of July. So here's my message to all of you voters out there. Don't vote Labour, and I'll tell you why. In 1992, I could have cried when Neil Kinnock and his entitled attitude of a Labour Party failed to gain power. And I had to wait until 1997 for a Labour Party to be elected to government. I was happy. I was a Labour supporter. During that time, the world's economy boomed beyond belief, and the Labour government at the time spent every single penny, wasted it, utterly wasted it. And fast forward to 2008, and the chickens, they came home to roost. And a financial crisis partly created by a Labour government and lack of control in the banking sector, who extended themselves by buying on credit and leverage without suitable checks being in place by an incompetent and economically inept Labour government. In 2008 to 2009, approximately 50,000 homes were repossessed by the banks. Around 250,000 people were seriously behind on their mortgage payments and under pressure from the banks. The Labour government at the time responded by pumping billions and billions of pounds into the economy. And how did they do this? By giving billions and billions of pounds of taxpayers' money to the banks that inflicted this mess on people in the first place. Did people who were in danger of having their house repossessed get any money? No. Did people whose businesses, small businesses, were being told by the banks to pay their loans back? Did the Labour government support them? No. They just gave all the money to the banks. The Labour government, prior to this crisis, had stated under Gordon Brown, the Chancellor of the Exchequer, it was an end to boom and bust of the British economy, and that they had a prudent Labour Chancellor of the Exchequer. All of it was lies. Houses were being repossessed, businesses were going under, and all Labour did was print money and give it all to the banks. Not a single penny went in the pocket of the working people of this country, or in the pocket of the people that needed the money, the people that were having their houses repossessed, the people that were having their businesses being declared bankrupt. Labour didn't help the people of this country, they just helped the bankers. In 2020, the Conservative government faced an even worse crisis, a global pandemic, COVID. The government wasn't perfect, no government the world over was, but they supported the people of this country by putting money in the people's pockets, 80% of wages, week in, week out, 80% of salaries, month in, month out. They didn't give the money to the bankers. It went directly to the people so that they could stay at home and watch daytime television. Or, when the weather was good, take the kids to the park for an hour. During the COVID crisis, the money went directly in the pockets of the people that needed it. And the government did their best, at least some of the time, to ensure the country got the COVID vaccine. Bumbling Boris wasn't the greatest, but he at least did his best to look after the people of this country and himself along the way. In 2022, Putin, with his Russian army, invaded the Ukraine. Putin's army invading Ukraine caused energy prices the world over to increase substantially. What did the Conservative government do? They gave every household as much support as they could. They credited every household in this country with a substantial amount of money. I think it was £66 every month. I think it was for 6 months on their electric bill, month in, month out, until the worst had passed. Let me tell you about Labour. The Corbyn supporters are still in the Labour Party. They're in the shadows, waiting to come to power. They've got Slimy Stormer as their frontman, as their patsy. And people will fall for their lies, and trust me, you cannot believe a word the party says. They say they are for equality, fairness to all, but they have been proven to be anti-Semitic. Stormer will claim that he represents you and you and you, and whoever else will get him votes. He's got more faces than a bag of pennies. If you think immigration is bad, wait until Labour get in power. It'll be 3 times as bad. Inflation is coming down. If Labour get in power, it'll go through the roof. I've seen it time and time again when Labour get in power. Each and every time, when the people eventually realise that the Labour government in power is no good and they kick them out, the country has been on its knees every single time. In 2008, the Labour government took this country to the edge of bankruptcy. I'm not telling you who to vote for. I'm just briefly informing you of what has gone before and asking you under no circumstances to vote Labour. If your father voted Labour and his grandfather before him and you feel obliged to do so, let me tell you now, this isn't the Labour Party of their times. This is the Labour Party of your time, and it doesn't represent the likes of you and me anymore. This is Dave the Sue saying it as it is and as it has been before. Bye for now.